Let's first look at the bottom-up, data-driven approach. One element of economic cluster strategy that is actually quite well understood is data. However, there are certain typical errors made when using data to support a cluster. Such hypotheses are typically formed by extrapolating from existing, successful clusters. Situational data, on the other hand, is exponentially more pertinent, as demonstrated by a series of cluster failures over time. The fundamental idea that data needs to be processed from the bottom up is what makes efficient data utilization possible. That is, the process should unavoidably involve examining the region's unique economic structure and determining, on the basis of that, where there are solid links between industries and genuine, long-standing competitive advantages. Implementing this design principle frequently requires a time of data following and sincere introspection. This makes it easier to recognize the real strengths and shortcomings of a region, while also, and most importantly, fostering bias-free cluster identification. To identify which sectors have strong trading relationships, this concentration of labor relative to the national average and their tradability, as well as the existing and potential spillovers of the involved sectors such as process, requires in-depth, quantifiable knowledge about the composition of the regional economy and the flow of capital between sectors. It also includes other pertinent elements including infrastructure, labor policies, innovation and patents, as well as the climate that fosters corporate growth. Another approach is top-down. The top-down approach involves creating a cluster priority list using data from a cluster analysis. The issue with the top-down approaches is why some activities were included while others were not, especially if some of these turn out to be less successful. Particularly when there is no real history in the in-clusters, like new media, culture and so on, it seems to be challenging to resist the desire to incorporate them. However, even if this desire can be avoided, the process of prioritizing will unavoidably be dependent on certain random decisions. It is important to note that governmental backing is not always necessary for clusters to form. Some cluster projects do not or have not yet produced statistically significant clusters. They are created at the European level using a bottom-up or top-down methodology and are funded either by the cluster's own resources or by regional, national or European money. Some nations employ a top-down strategy, while others use a bottom-up strategy in which local actors execute cluster policies. The experience of the industrialized nations in the European Union demonstrates clearly the importance of clusters as a means of collaboration between academic institutions, governmental agencies and administrations, as well as public institutions. In this case, the clusters combine a top-down and bottom-up methodology. Unlike bottom-up clusters initiatives, which are funded by entrepreneurs who want to capitalize on regional collaborations and pay the right cluster membership dues, top-down clusters initiatives are supported by public funding. We can see from the European cluster analysis that the private sector was primarily responsible for their construction, and that the majority of them were established using a bottom-up methodology. Despite not having been formed with policies intended to promote the appearance, these clusters positively impact local and regional performance. The bottom-up clusters have strengths in this area, having greater potential to develop favorably, while the top-down clusters have certain drawbacks due to inferiority in entrepreneurial difficulties. The entrepreneurial spirit might be a difference between top-down and bottom-up approaches. Utilizing these various types of techniques is strategic for several important reasons. First, it's the clear targets, strategic, quantitatively identifiable, and the coherence with other programs, both for the top-down approach and bottom-up approach. When best or possible participants are not clear upfront, information is best obtained by self-identification and participant motivation, all for the bottom-up approach. There are a number of innovation-focused programs that support the top-down strategy for strategic reasons.